Hey guys, today I'm here to film a review of The Yoga of Max's Discontent, a novel by Karan Bajaj. Now this was sent to me for review by the author, which is why I'm giving it its own singular review video, but I actually don't have a ton to say about this, so this will probably be a relatively short video. And that's actually a really good thing because if you can't tell by the funky lighting already, the sun is rapidly setting, so hopefully I can get this all done before my light completely disappears. The Yoga of Max's Discontent follows a man named Max who's probably in his mid to late 20s and is the son of Greek immigrants currently living and working in New York City. Max's dad wasn't really in the picture when he was a kid, so although his mom worked super hard to make sure that both Max and his sister got to go to one of the better private schools in the city, they still grew up in poverty and lived in the Bronx, where he had to deal with drugs, gangs, and basically the all-consuming threat of lack of food and homelessness. Somewhat inspired by his mom's hard work, Max always worked incredibly hard at school to try and take advantage of the opportunities she created for him, and as an adult has seemingly found success. He is a data analyst of some kind at a big firm in New York, and by all means looks like he has achieved the American dream. However, in the beginning of this book, we see Max's mom pass away from very painful cancer, and Max is kind of left reeling. He feels like, what was it all for? It's right around this time that Max has a chance encounter with an Indian food vendor on the streets of New York City who makes some casual comment about how Max reminds him vaguely of some yogis that live in the Himalayas in India and basically spend their time meditating and trying to reach a higher level of consciousness. So randomly Max decides, hey, maybe that's the answer to this emptiness that I'm feeling, packs his stuff up, gives his best friend all his money, and decides to pack it off to India. Max makes the Himalayas his first destination upon arriving in India, and yet is quickly humbled by nature's incredible force and decides that even though he is a masterful athlete, he probably should try something a little bit simpler before working his way back to the mountains. So he heads south and quickly finds himself at an ashram under the tutelage of a man who doesn't believe in following one specific god or organized religion, but rather practices yoga and the mindfulness that comes with it. Now, like I mentioned, I received this in exchange for an honest review directly from the author, and I'm really glad I did because I don't generally reach for books about spiritual journeys or spiritual enlightenment, but because this popped up in my inbox, I read the description and just thought, wow, that's really interesting. I've never read anything like it. Let's give it a shot, and I'm actually really glad I did. The first thing I want to talk about is the writing. Now, I would definitely classify this more on the literary side. I don't know if this is technically literary fiction, but it definitely reads more literary. According to his author bio, Karan Bajaj is a best-selling novelist, marketing executive, and striving yogi, and was born in the Indian Himalayas and studied in an ashram in South India, which means that a lot of what Max goes through in this novel seems to be coming from his own personal experiences. I think that really adds to the book because he's not only able to give really vivid, intense descriptions of the landscape that Max finds himself in, but he's also really able to talk about what exactly Max is doing, what it feels like to sit down and try and meditate, and what it feels like to try and torque your body into intense yoga positions. I kind of mentioned this before, but what really drew me to this novel was the concept. Like I said, I don't really read spiritual journey stories often or at all really, so I thought it would be a nice break from kind of my more general reads, and I really did like the concept. I especially liked the fact that this was spiritual enlightenment through yoga. I have been a very casual practicer of yoga for the past 3 years now. I don't go to a studio and I don't like follow a specific kind of yoga. I just kind of practice on my own at home, but I've definitely felt the effects of what it does for your body and how it really just helps me, at least, kind of be centered and calm for the rest of the day. So it was interesting to see yoga as a practice blown up and magnified and what that can do for a person spiritually. For the most part, I also thought that Max's journey was really realistic because although he makes this really spur-of-the-moment decision to go practice spiritualism in India, he is very aware that it's a weird decision, and there are several instances throughout his journey where he just kind of stops what he's doing and thinks to himself, what the heck am I doing here? This is so far out of where I'm supposed to be in life. This is so far out of the ordinary. I must be crazy. And I just thought that was really realistic, that nobody goes on this kind of intense spiritual journey without at least once reconsidering what it is that they're doing. However, for the majority of this novel, I actually found Max really frustrating and annoying to read about, and I think that's mainly because I personally felt he had a very strong arrogant streak that bordered on selfishness at some times. Now, I think that's mainly because his character got everything in his life by working really, really hard, but that turned into this kind of complex where because he was Max and Max worked hard, he could achieve anything. And the fact of the matter is sometimes you can work your butt off and you still won't achieve what it is that you want to achieve. Thankfully, the author was good at character development because that didn't last the entire novel, but I felt like a lot of his decisions early on in the book were very much self-interested, looking for a quick fix, and that was very annoying. Ultimately, I ended up giving this 3 stars on Goodreads, which is kind of a generic rating for me. You know, it's something that I'm glad I read. It was vaguely interesting, but not something amazing or something that blew my mind. However, if I had been able to give it 3.5 stars, I definitely would, because this made me really think about what I personally believe about spirituality and what it means to be at peace with yourself and what it means to be enlightened. So for that, I would have given it the extra half star. So like I said, a pretty low-key review for the Yoga of Max's Discontent, but in case you were interested in seeing somebody else's thoughts on this book, I will go ahead and link Reagan from Peruse Project's video down below. I know she also read this, and I believe she gave it a 4-star read, so if you want a slightly different opinion, go check out her video. If you guys are interested in picking up a copy of this for yourselves, it comes out on May the 3rd in the United States, but otherwise, that's all I have for today's video, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye!